The NDC have now been left to be the ones who have taken their seats on the majority side in Parliament, and they say that everything points that they are the real majority. And now they are singing the national anthem, insisting that they are the majority in the House. Chaotic scenes that was expected hasn't happened. It hasn't happened at all. Just the NDC MPs having taken over the majority seats, and they say they are going to take that seat. There's absolutely no way they are going to hand that over back to the NPP. So that is the situation here in Parliament. For those of you who are just catching up, it's been said to be a really confrontational sitting where the NDC and NPP all claiming the majority side. About 8 o'clock a.m. today, the doors to the Chamber of Parliament was opened, and the NDC and NPP MPs all walked in. The NDC MPs who have arrived here this morning in their numbers, they take over the majority side and are still seated. In fact, they are still seated on the right-hand side of Mr. Speaker, and we are waiting for 10 o'clock. It's actually past 10 now. That is the time proceedings was expected to start. It just hasn't started. There were a couple of NPP MPs who were seated up until the leader of the NPP caucus, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, came in and came to talk to some of his colleagues and then decided to address the media. The substance of their interaction with the media is that they consider themselves the majority. However, they are not going to conduct themselves in any way that will lead to violent confrontations on the floor of the House, for which reason they decided that they will leave the Chamber of Parliament, which is at the Accra International Conference Center, the Dome, and go back to their offices and wait for the Speaker of Parliament to come. When the Speaker of Parliament takes his chair, perhaps we'll call them for a pre-sitting. If he does call them for a pre-sitting, they will definitely talk among each other, and if there's any resolution to this impasse, they will do that. But the NDC MPs still on the floor of Parliament, chanting revolution songs, speaking the Arise Ghana Youth, and they say this is the moment that they really have taken over the majority in Parliament, and that is not something that they are willing to give up at all. There's a rolling coverage right here on Joy News where there's a lot of controversy in Parliament as to who exactly is. You see Sam George leading the chorus and NDC MPs really marching on the floor of the House. It's really fun times here for them on the floor of the House, because for most of them they've gone back to their secondary school days where there's really a march past going on with Sam George leading. There's a lot happening, a lot happening on the floor of Parliament today. A day that has been said to be the country at the precipice of chaos. Ghana's democratic credentials being challenged. But so far it has been handled pretty well. The NPP MPs have come in and they've said that that's why they are disagreement. They are not going to stay on the floor. They've left to their offices. But the NDC MPs remaining. You see a candle there. You see MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu. You see a number of them really remembering their JHS and SHS days where they have marched past. They are not relenting. There's a lot of singing and chanting on the floor of the House as they wait for the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagman, to come in to gavel the House in session. It's so far not been confrontational. There's not been a single confrontation except the one that happened around 8 a.m. when they were walking in, when two MPs had a little confrontation at a security screening door. But it has largely been peaceful. It's been fun, if I'm allowed to put it that way, with MPs on both sides claiming the majority side in Parliament. And we will try and get you some interviews and try and see what the situation is with both sides doing so. When the Speaker comes in, ultimately, because it's 10 o'clock and any moment from now, we will expect that the Speaker will walk in. When he does, what we will expect is the Speaker to inform the House, if he's so minded to do, whether or not the Supreme Court has served him with their order they made on Friday. The majority leader, you heard him there say, that that order has been served on Parliament. And so the expectation will be that at least the Speaker of Parliament will comment on it, and whatever consequential directives he may be mandate to give. Mind you, there are efforts underway between yesterday and now to file some applications also at the Supreme Court to stay that order that has been made by the Supreme Court. So a lot of stay of execution applications flying all over the place. But as of yet, that has not been filed. And what that means, constitutionally and legally speaking, is that that order declaring 4 seats vacant by the Speaker has been stayed by the Supreme Court, which means the status quo prior to Thursday has been restored, and that the NPP are the minority, strictly speaking, by the Supreme Court declaration that they made last week. But the NDC MPs say until the Speaker of Parliament communicates to them, that is not something that they are willing to, they are not willing to go by, because they do not take orders from the Supreme Court from social media. They only do so if the Speaker of Parliament communicates to them. So the Speaker of Parliament ultimately, and a lot hinges on the Speaker of Parliament and his pronouncements and declarations that he will make today. And when he comes in and he makes those declarations and he sets the stage properly for what we will see, then we can take it from there. So for Stina and our colleagues on News Desk, that is the situation here in Parliament. Just a recap of what has happened in the last few minutes. The majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has come in. He has addressed journalists. He says that they consider that they are still the majority given the order of the Supreme Court. They are not going to give that up, but they are not going to stay on the floor and lead to confrontations with their colleagues. And so they are going back to their offices and wait for Mr. Speaker to come in for their usual pre-sitting. They will try and see if some agreements can be reached. If those agreements are reached, then so be it. If the agreements are not reached, and it has to be, then they will not be part of it. And so they've left now. But a lot of NDC MPs on the floor. Every person you see on the floor now from your shots is an NDC MP. And they came in this morning, their numbers, to do one thing, to take over the majority side, and they've succeeded in doing so. And between now and when the Speaker of Parliament comes in and perhaps makes some consequential directions as to what exactly should happen, they say that they are the majority and will not give in to any person who will seek to take their rightful place, that is the majority side, from them.
Thank you, Kweku Asante, for bringing us that update. We're just telling what exactly is happening in Parliament. Initially, both the NDC and the NPP MPs, they occupied the majority side of Parliament. Then we saw Alexander Afenyo-Markin addressing the media. He says, quote, they would not partake in this lawless theater, referring to what is happening on the floor currently. They have left the chamber. They say they're going to their offices. They are hoping that the Speaker will respect the Supreme Court's ruling. Will the Speaker do so? That's something we're yet to find out. By having